time to celebrate. But the night ended with loneliness, the way we all would hate. She asked herself, what's the use? Will he have some lame excuse? She will let it go, but now she's gonna yell to him. I thought you would be here. Now I don't want you near. I had no place in your heart. There was no love from the start. Welcome, everybody. We are live on the air on both Twitch and on TikTok. How's it going? I got a shout out already from Big Luck Horizontal on TikTok. Thanks so much for tuning into my weekly podcast called Music Talk Mondays. It's Music Talk Mondays, everybody. This is my weekly podcast where we just talk about all things related to music. So we're going to be doing discussion topics that relate to music, whether it be on instruments, artists, bands, songs, albums, whatever, all that stuff. So that's the main premise of Music Talk Mondays. So we talk about our discussion topic of today, and then after that, we're going to do an open Q&A portion of the evening after that. So if you guys can, please save your questions until we officially hit the open Q&A portion of the show. Sounds fair? All right. So before we start the show, I just wanted to give big thanks to all of you guys on Twitch and TikTok for tuning into the podcast today. I really appreciate you guys for supporting my channels on both those platforms. Of course, if you want to check me out, I got to promote this. I have an official website. It's EddieLamMusic.ca. That's where you can find all my musical platforms on there. Hello, George Chixie. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate that. On George Chixie's on Twitch, just saying hi. Thank you so much. So I got a website. It's EddieLamMusic.ca. You can find it on there. I also got social media as well. I got Twitch. I got TikTok. I also got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So thank you guys for following me already if you've already done so. But if you haven't, please follow me on all those platforms. I'd love to stay in touch with you guys through all those platforms as well. Thank you so much. I got TPanda5 on TikTok saying, he says, hello again, you supremely amazing human you. Thank you so much, Panda on TikTok. Thank you. I really appreciate that. George Chicks is asking how's my night going. It's going really well, actually. Thank you so much for asking. How's your night going so far? How was your day? Let me know. So yeah, social media, I got Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Website, EddieLamMusic.ca. Now, if you guys do enjoy all the stuff I do, if you already know what I do already, whether it be on my piano live streams or my TikTok guitar tutorial channel and my YouTube channel or whatever it is that you like for all the content I've posted, if you want to donate, I got you got two ways you can donate to me. You can either actually three ways. If you're on TikTok right now, if you like what I've been doing, you can do those TikTok live donations, so I can accept that as well. I can also do PayPal. You can go to paypal.me/EddieLamMusic, as you can see on there on people on Twitch. You see that on there as well. You can also subscribe to my Patreon as well. On my Patreon, I got some cool deals, such as the following. If you donate once a month, there's one where you can where I can just mention you guys on my weekly podcast right here on Music Talk Mondays. I'll announce you guys for being awesome. For helping out on my Patreon, so you'll get shoutouts guaranteed. There's also other deals where you can subscribe to my Patreon, where I can give you guys, like, say, birthday video shoutouts or whatever special occasion it is. I can do musical birthday or musical special occasion shoutouts for you guys. So there's that deal. Another deal that you can also subscribe to on my Patreon as well includes exclusive content, including behind the scenes of my recordings that I do, because I do record music too, right? So you can watch me record upcoming songs from either my band Cry of Silence, or you can also check out even recordings of upcoming covers that I'm about to release on my personal YouTube channel as well. So my Patreon will have that also. And here's another one too, another fun one for you guys. For those who are such huge fans of my piano live streams, there's also on my Patreon where you can subscribe, where you can request up to 3 songs max, and I will take those requests and I will put those song requests on the early portion of my future piano live streams. So if you guys do that, your songs will be played for sure. So there you go. That's how it works. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in today. I look forward to doing Music Talk Mondays. I know people have been giving me good feedback already so far of how they really enjoyed my podcast. So yeah, sorry, just reading the comments here already on Twitch. George Chixie on Twitch says, my day wasn't very good. My girlfriend moved out because I wasn't caring enough for her when I was putting out all my effort into her. George Chixie, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm really sorry to hear what you're going through. That must be a very unfortunate thing that you've been facing. I can't imagine how it must have felt like, but I know that you are strong, that you will carry through this. But in the meantime, we all of us here on the interwebs just want to express that we are very sorry that you're facing this right now. But just so you know, I know you can get through this. And my love, I'm sending my love out to you as well. So, and all of us here on the interwebs are sending their love out to you too. So, just letting you know that. And I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're all here today to sit through my podcast here. And I'm just glad to connect with you guys. This is the reason why, when it comes to our love for music, we are a community here, right? We just want to be able to get together and just hang around here and just talk about all things related to music, and just have a little escape from life, and just know that you guys are always welcome here anytime. No matter if I'm doing my piano live streams or my podcasts on Mondays or whatever it is I'm doing online, even if you're just tuning into my YouTube channel or anything like that too, don't forget, you guys are always welcome, and you guys are really well loved always. So yeah. There we go. Thank you so much, guys, for just being open to me about what's going on in your lives. I know 2020 is not always the most awesome year for everybody. So all of us are facing really tough times right now. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And I hope that you guys had a really good weekend as well. Hope you guys had a really productive one. Otherwise, you're all staying safe and everything. So let's get on to today's topic. So, here's my introduction for this. From time to time, we've seen interviews go wrong. So whether they result to passive-aggressive remarks to more confrontational exchanges involving some serious insults, and sometimes direct physical actions like splashing water on each other or even potential fistfights. Well, I tell you, all of these have happened before in live interviews. This has happened. So, somewhere over 20 years ago, an American news show called Inside Edition did a segment about confrontations happening in celebrity interviews. For fun examples, they've mentioned were the following. So, let's go back to the 70s, the 1970s. The Michael Douglas show had 2 special guest comedians in an interview, Milton Berle and Richard Pryor. I never heard about these guys either, but all I know is that they were famous comedians back in their day. So Berle was telling a serious story about him having a child out of wedlock, and when he was trying to tell his story, Richard Pryor laughed out of nowhere. And Berle was rightfully so insulted and called him out on it. So what happened was Berle was trying to tell this really serious story and everything, and just out of nowhere, Pryor just laughed. He giggled and all that, and Berle was like, "Why'd you laugh? What's going on here?" Right? And Richard Pryor was just like, "Oh, sorry, man, sorry. It just came out of nowhere." But you can tell that, if you watch the video, you can tell Richard Pryor's apology wasn't really that sincere. Like, he didn't really mean it, basically. And, of course, Berle said, this was a very serious issue. I wish I could laugh just like you did, but this is not. I didn't feel this way. Because this is a really serious issue that I was facing. So he was like, I appreciate if you didn't laugh at that. And of course, like Richard Pryor and Burl, obviously they were in such a very uncomfortable position where they were just kind of jabbing at each other a little bit there. So yeah, so that's one of those things that where an interview can go downhill. Another story Inside Edition brought up in the archives was there was a time when an unexpected incident occurred involving popular singer Bjork. Remember her? She was like this interesting pop artist back in the 90s. Anyways, so at the start of her tour in Thailand, what happened was she was exhausted. Okay, so this exhausted artist exited the airport after arrival. But when a British female news reporter wanted to ask her questions for an interview, Bjork just snapped out of nowhere and started physically assaulting the reporter. Like, she was just so angry that she just, went and just like grabbed her hair and, looks like they were trying to wrestle each other and everything. It looked really ugly. So, of course, that I don't know what to say, but it is on there on YouTube for sure, so you can definitely find that. But Bjork was just like so out of control. She was like, like totally angry. She just grabbed her hair, reporter's hair, like, like leave me alone. Like, what are you doing? So keep in mind, however, her record label did say that this same reporter was pestering Bjork and the label for days prior to her tour. So, yes. Oh, I just want to say, before I move on, I just want to say hi to Blake, who is on TikTok as well. Thank you, Blake, for always tuning in to my both podcasts and piano live streams. Man, dude, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And someone said on TikTok saying, that's nice, but did you know Geico can save you 50% of our car insurance? Thank you. I really needed that laugh. I really appreciate that, my friend. Okay, so that's what happened. So Bjork snapped and assaulted a reporter, and of course security had to pull him apart, obviously. So it was really messed up. Like, it was such a. If you guys recall that incident, please type in the comments below and let me know if you recall that incident. Bjork getting really mad at a reporter in Thailand. Like, it was crazy. So I would suggest you watch that video on YouTube if you're into that kind of confrontation. Okay, so one of the most physical incidents occurred involving former heavyweight boxing champion Trevor Burbank and Larry Holmes. If you guys remember this, like many years ago. So during a press conference, a fight broke out between those two. So during that one memorable moment, okay, like this is what happened. So Holmes was climbing on top of a car, and then what happened was that he just ran and jumped off the car and landed on Burbank, and those guys were just brawling. So I saw the clip of that, and quite honestly, for a minute, I thought I was watching a WWE, ECW, or a pro wrestling match. Basically, that's what it felt like I was seeing. So that was quite a very interesting thing, and this is supposed to be a press conference, right? Like, press just shows up, interviews, Q&A, and all that stuff, and then that's it. And then just wait till the match. But then no, the fight just started way too early, and so the fight just broke up between these guys. So it was such a very interesting incident when it comes to press conferences going wrong. And speaking of boxing, who could ever forget the time when Mike Tyson this is one interview he did before his fight with Evander Holyfield. I think this was probably maybe a day or maybe on the day of, who knows. But I remember Mike Tyson was dropping constant F-bombs at a reporter who was just trying to conduct an interview before his match with Evander Holyfield. So the reporter was so fed up with Tyson's behavior that he just ended the interview right there. He was just like, all right, I think we're done with this interview. And again, it feels like I'm watching pro wrestling, although Mike Tyson was in WWF wrestling for a little bit in the late 90s. He made a special guest appearance, and he was on WrestleMania as a special enforcer during the match between Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was a long time ago, so yeah. So Inside Edition segment about these celebrity interview segments can be found on YouTube, like I said. However, today, in today's times, let's touch base on the more modern interviews that happened within the last several years. So in 2018, Ellen DeGeneres had Kanye West on her talk show. So in the middle of the interview, Kanye goes on an interesting TED Talk-like speech. He was saying all these weird things, like of course he wants to talk about wanting to make a difference and all that stuff, and then he has all this other stuff like saying like he was like, Picasso is dead, Walt Disney is dead, Steve Jobs is dead. Name one person that you think has the same impact as those guys, and then he goes like he was like, I don't care, what kind of music you're making, man. Are you connecting? So he just goes on this interesting TED Talk. Now I'll put it. Here's this. Although the audience seemed to dig what he was saying, you could tell the look in Ellen's face in that interview specifically that she was thinking in her head, what is this dude talking about? And she probably wanted to tell him to shut up. But of course, she was trying to remain calm and professional as much as she could. So despite that, though, there are times where talk show hosts like Ellen she herself have made guests uncomfortable in awkward moments during interviews. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, as you can find archives of videos out there on the internet where Ellen has made potentially upset some of her guests. So she's not all that innocent either. But so what's the point of all this about me talking about interviews going wrong? Well, today I wanted to specifically talk about this one interview that caught my attention back in 2012. This was an interview with indie pop rock group Never Shout Never, conducted by former YouTube pop culture journalist Bryan Stars. I know, I can hear you guys' reactions right now. I know it might be a mixed bag of what I'm hearing when I mention the name Bryan Stars. So, who is Bryan Stars? Well, Bryan Stars is a previously well-known music interviewer on YouTube who gained, I can't believe it, he gained millions of followers. This guy was a very YouTube famous interviewer back in the day, years ago in the early 2010s. He interviewed big name bands, including Slipknot, Sleeping with Sirens, Black Veil Brides, Of Mice and Men, and much more. So besides asking questions on subject matters relating to the band, Bryan also asked fun, goofy, quirky questions that no other traditional interviewers would ask. One of his most well-known interviews was his interview with members of indie pop rock group Never Shout Never. So here's why it was so special. So let's travel back in time. The first Bryan Stars interview with Never Shout Never was held back in 2010. So this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because this thing happened 10 years ago, where this was a really great interview between Bryan Stars and Never Shout Never. So Bryan and the Never Shout Never members clearly in this video had great chemistry together. Like the band Bryan Stars were young, like they were like between 19 to 20 years old. They were just joking around together, making hilarious remarks and laughing together, acting all hyper. And Bryan would ask questions. Christopher Drew and mainly Christopher Drew and Tyler McPhee from Never Shout Never respond in the most hilarious way. So they make like funny random remarks and all that stuff, basically. So yeah, that's what's been going on in an interview. And it's like basically they were like high on sugar and they were partying together, basically. So it didn't really feel like an interview. It was more like a really cool, awesome hangout, which just featured Bryan Stars and Never Shout Never. And people loved it so much. So that gained him like so many views, like millions and millions of views. So yeah, there we go. So this interview gained incredible popularity for Bryan Stars. And since then, his interview career took off big time. It's really, it's just amazing that he got that chance to make that happen during that time. So that was 2010. Bryan Stars talking to Never Shout Never, right? Fun times, all that stuff. So what happened down the road after that? Well, let's fast forward to 2012. 2 years later. 2 years later, the interview, the next interview with Never Shout Never went downhill. This is what happened. Okay. So Bryan Stars was contacted by the New York Times as they wanted to do coverage on his successful interview career. So New York Times, they did an article talking about successful YouTubers who are making a living out of it, all that stuff. And Bryan Stars is one of the on-air personalities that they wanted to talk to as well. So the New York Times representative wanted to tag along with Bryan Stars to witness a recording session of him. So they want to actually witness an actual being interviewed, being filmed, because the New York Times representatives wanted to get a feel of what Bryan Stars is like behind the scenes and all that, right? So that's what happened. So Bryan Stars was thinking, well, who would he want to have on his show while the New York Times is watching him shine? Well, Bryan Stars thought in his head, well, hey, how about I interview Never Shout Never again? Since the last one went really well, I'm going to interview Never Shout Never. I'm sure it'll be a really fun time again. That's what Bryan Stars thought. So unfortunately, despite Bryan Stars and the crew driving for several hours to meet up with Never Shout Never at a show, the interview he had hoped for did not go well at all. So besides okay, so this is what happened in the actual video. So besides the obvious image that the band members of Never Shout Never looked more grown up, okay, I mean, yeah, they changed their looks. Like you can see how the difference of how much they've aged a little bit between the first video in 2010 and the second interview in 2012. So they aged quite a bit. So they look more grown up. They gave off the apparent impression that they did not look or act as enthusiastic as they did 2 years earlier. The atmosphere of the first interview and the second interview was, like I said, you can see the difference. You can feel the difference too. It was clearly night and day. Like I said, the first interview, they were happy-go-lucky. They were goofy. They were just, felt like they were partying. So it was like one heck of a time. But the second interview the band members did with Bryan Stars, they looked like they were not in the best mood. And of course they have their reasons. But what happened was Bryan started off with asking some of his quirky questions. So though Never Shout Never were uncomfortably answering them, Christopher Drew was agitated, and he was blunt to Bryan Stars, telling him to ask questions relating to their music. So think about that. He was just like, he was like, give me some better questions, man. Like, ask us something that's a little bit more else. So that was what Christopher Drew was feeling. So he was very, very, he was a little bit impatient, basically. So bass player Ty McPhee snatched Bryan's question shades off his hand and even tossed a couple of pages to the ground as he was not impressed with the questions that were prepared to be asked. So Tyler was just, he snatched Bryan Stars' question sheet. He was just going like, whoa, what, and then he just tossed it to the ground, tossed like another page down to the ground as well because he was just not impressed. So it is what it is, guys. It was a very, face palming moment to watch. So after asking a series of questions, Bryan sensed the band Never Shout Never. They didn't look happy, so he asked for complete honesty about them being unhappy with him, And Christopher Drew was blunt about it, calling Bryan's interview style a joke. From there, Bryan and Chris were slightly arguing with each other. So this is where it got a little bit ugly. They were arguing with each other, and and all the guys from Never Shout Never described. Actually, they were okay. All the guys from Never Shout Never decided to end the interview and just left. Basically, that's what happened. And of course, after they left, Bryan just ended with a passive-aggressive statement saying, "Never Shout Never has obviously changed." So that was quite a very interesting thing that that's happened. So it's not easy to watch, guys. Like, if you watch the interview of Never Shout Never versus Bryan Stars, it did not look good. Like even when I saw it, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is just not. This is really hard to watch. Like, I'd be embarrassed if I was in that situation. After the interview, Bryan was hanging out by himself backstage and expressed his frustrations and also broke down in tears. So now during that time, I actually did feel sorry for him, because all we witnessed was this crazy train wreck of an interview. Like, it was crazy. Oh yes, and so for those who are just tuning in, this is my weekly podcast called Music Talk Mondays, where I talk about music-related content. So we're broadcasting live on both Twitch and TikTok. So if you guys do want to go to my Twitch, it's Twitch. My Twitch username is EddieLamMusic. So feel free to go on there too, especially if you want to hear the quality sound of this microphone and my radio voice. So hope to see you guys there. If you TikTokers want to switch over to Twitch, feel free to do so. Otherwise, guys, thank you again so much for tuning into both platforms. You guys are amazing people. I just need to, before I move on, I'm going to just take a quick look at here. No problem. Okay, cool. Just looking at some more comments here. Okay, so now we all know that Never Shout Never and Bryan Stars had a very confrontational incident out in public. It's on the air and everything. It's uploaded on YouTube as well. So that was just really crazy. Now, the interview apparently received negative reviews from Bryan Stars' fan base. They were outraged at Never Shout Never. So even some celebrities who follow Bryan Stars called out on Christopher Drew for the rude behavior. Now, mind you, Christopher Drew did end up sending a public apology later on. He sent a public post to Bryan Stars on Twitter saying he apologized for the way he behaved. Eventually, the outrage did die down. So that's the one good thing for sure. It did die down eventually, as Bryan Stars just continued to move on and continue his job while Never Shout Never continued making music. That's what happened after that incident. That's what happened. Now, we got to fast forward, however, to 2015. So everyone knew, everyone was just talking about the whole thing of Bryan Stars and Christopher Drew from Never Shout Never. After the incident, people were just hating on Never Shout Never, although there are still some loyal fans as well. So, So Never Shout Never were not completely hated entirely, but just after that whole negative incident between them and Bryan Stars, it died down basically. So carrying on, right? Well, fast forward to 2015, Bryan Stars uploaded an unexpected video on YouTube where he reunited with Christopher Drew. So this was quite the surprise, considering the last encounter involved that very uncomfortable confrontation between the two parties. But the familiar feeling from the 2010 interview sort of came back in a way, though of course not as hyper. So they weren't going right? They weren't like being all party animal-y kind of attitude. So yeah, the similar feeling was there, but it's still a different feeling. Because again, these guys are getting a bit older now, right? They're maturing a bit more. So Christopher Drew looked a lot more relaxed and was actually cracking jokes here and there at Bryan Stars. They were laughing together. And, of course, they've officially buried a hatchet. So they've put everything behind them while they were catching up. So it's really cool to see that. So Christopher Drew ended up apologizing for the way he acted overall. And at the same time, Bryan Stars said he's been trying to be a better interviewer. So there was that. Like both sides have actually stated their piece about the incident, and they wanted to put it behind them. So yeah. Now, unless I'm missing any updates, please let me know if I do. Let me know if I'm missing any updates about the Bryan Stars and Christopher Drew incident. But otherwise, I think it's safe to say that was pretty much the end of the infamous Bryan Stars and Never Shout Never story. I think it's safe to assume that. So, what are my personal thoughts on this? Well, okay. So we all know Bryan Stars is a controversial figure, even like the last few years, right? I mean, let's be blunt about it. We all heard about the downfall of him running that collab channel, My Digital Escape, on YouTube. We've all heard about that whole incident. Of course, that's a different conversation for another day. I will say that again. That's going to be another conversation another day. Somewhere down the road in the future. I don't know. But yeah, it's quite an interesting... that's an interesting story itself, of course. But like I said, going back, yes, we all know Bryan Stars is a very controversial figure. But of course, like I said, I just want to focus specifically on that topic of Bryan Stars versus Christopher Drew, or Never Shout Never, rather. Because it's hard to believe that the first fun interview that Bryan conducted with that band was over a decade ago. That was 2010. I can't believe it. It's hard to believe how fast time flew. So, by the way, yes, some people are saying hello on TikTok, so I just want to say hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast on Music Talk Mondays. Again, I appreciate that so much. Of course, hello to everybody on Twitch as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I really appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. So, going back, yes, so it's hard to believe that first interview Bryan Stars did with Never Shout Never was 10 years ago. Who knew? Like I said, you can clearly see the difference between that first video and the second video, where it was like happy-go-lucky versus the complete opposite. So I heard about the incident between Bryan Stars and Christopher Drew through friends. One of my musician friends on Facebook legit said, "Christopher Drew, I'm never buying your albums ever again." That was the post on Facebook. That was the post that I saw. I asked what happened. I asked my friend, so what happened between, asked what was going on with Christopher Drew? What's going on here? And so she showed me the video. So here's a question. Was Never Shout Never being completely rude and at fault for the incident? Okay, so at first, when I heard about the incident back in 2012, I was all for Bryan Stars at first, because everybody, because the majority were outraged as well, and I thought, okay, Never Shout Never, they're being such jerks, blah blah blah. We were all not happy with Christopher Drew, the way he talked to Bryan, and we were all feeling that way. But as time went by, I took a look at that depressing video, the bad interview that went downhill. I watched it quite a good number of times. Sometimes I do watch it when I'm bored, because I just wanted to dig deep into the mind of Chris, Tyler, and Hayden from Never Shout Never, so I could see where they're coming from. I did. I had to. So here are my thoughts about that after watching it quite a few times and seeing it in a more different perspective. Though I do not condone the behavior when they were expressing their frustration out in public and tossing out Bryan's question sheets, you have to understand that Never Shout Never have hit adulthood. So that's one thing I'm going to point out for sure, is that they have hit adulthood. They want to grow up as both adults and professional musicians. And they want the fan base and the media to take their stuff seriously. Why? Why is that? Well, because they worked incredibly hard at what they were doing. You have to see where we musicians are coming from. And that's the thing. When we finish recording our new material, we get excited about it. And we look forward to sharing the final product to the entire world. I can't speak on behalf of Never Shout Never, but I'm sure the band could not wait to talk to the press about their new songs. I mean, think about it this way. They put many months, days, and hours into the album. So understand the last thing you want is wasting your time in an interview talking nonsense, including, get this, one of Bryan Starrs' infamous juvenile question. His question was, if you were a porn star, what would your porn star name be? He seriously would ask that in his interviews. So I can see Never Shout Never's point. It feels like a slap in the face if 90% of the interview is just going to focus on tomfoolery rather than what the band is known for, which is, you guessed it, their music. So here's the thing, though. Chris has, like I said, in that final interview between Christopher Drew and Bryan Starrs, Chris has owned up to how he treated Bryan, which is fair. So Chris confirmed that he was personally going through a bad time in his life, including doing some harmful habits. The band was exhausted and stressed out because of an intense tour. So Bryan Starrs pretty much caught them at a bad time. Yeah, I would not be surprised if that was actually the case. Chris also said that his negative attitude was influenced by Bob Dylan's rock star persona, where Dylan himself would give interviewers a hard time back in the day. So in a way, when you think about it, Christopher Drew wanted to role play that. He wanted to role play that attitude. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Yeah, so pretty much he was kind of role playing the whole, rock star Bob Dylan attitude kind of thing. So I give huge props to Christopher Drew when he said he's been taking better care of himself. In that most recent interview with Bryan Starrs, where both parties were patching things up, I could tell he looked way more relaxed, calm, and much happier. So again, my hat's off to Christopher Drew for doing that. Again, I know there's a lot of you out there who are not fans of Bryan Starrs for obvious reasons. Because, again, like I said, because of that recent controversy involving the My Digital Escape YouTube channel. That's another conversation, and like I said, that's another conversation for another time. But I just want to specifically focus on that Bryan Starrs and Christopher Drew story. I think it's a good way. I think it's good that Bryan did own up to the fact that his interview skills needed upgrading big time. He told Christopher Drew and viewers that he's been doing his best to prepare more for future segments with celebrity guest stars, as he should. So, which leads me to the next part of my thoughts. How do we as musicians learn from this? How do we learn from this as musicians when it comes to interviews? And how can interviewers like journalists, bloggers, and other media personalities, how can they learn from this story also? Well, my personal answer is this. I see ongoing themes from this incident, this story specifically, that play huge roles in making successful interviews. I think there's four key things that make a successful celebrity interview for both parties are the following. Number 1, communication. Number 2, preparation. Number 3, patience. And number 4, respect. Here's a picture of Bryan Starrs here on my Twitch. So let's start off with that first point, communication. And I'm going to add transparency to this one also. Let transparency be also part of that point. So communication communication with transparency. So in terms of that first point on communication, my personal philosophy is that communication is life. Heads up on things with complete details and asking questions ahead of time is always a good thing. One can ask a question, but the other should respond, even if the answers are the following: I don't know, or I actually do not feel like responding to this. So, that's communication right there, right? At least you guys are communicating. So going back to that whole Bryan Starr story, I think what he could have done, I don't mean to sound like Captain Hindsight here, but it's just that this is a good way for us to learn from this. So going back to the Bryan Starr story, I think what he could have done to make that second Never Shout Never interview successful is if he had actually chat with the band or their managers ahead of time. Like maybe Bryan could have asked if there's something the band would like to touch base on. So Bryan could also bring up a format he has in mind for the segment. Interviews and musicians chatting with each other privately ahead of time would be far more helpful, tying in with the next important factor that can help make interviews successful, which is, again, point number 2, preparation. So preparation in interviews. Preparation. As musicians, we want to prepare ourselves on what to talk about. Just like job interviews as well. Same deal. Whatever interview that you're in, whether you're a celebrity being guest starred on a show, on a podcast, whatever, preparation is just so important. We need to specify the key things that will grab the audience's attention, whether we're selling our music, our live shows, or merchandise. At the same time, we want to familiarize ourselves with the interviewer so we can figure out the show format and the atmosphere. Though I'm personally not a journalist expert, I still think it's important for interviewers to prepare themselves by not just looking at their guests as how they were from the past, but also look at how they are at the present. This helps us audience members know how much our favorite stars have grown, how they've evolved, and what they're going to do next. So again, this is where that whole thing is doing your research comes to play. It's not just, looking back, I'm sure he's probably still a goofy old cool guy. Well, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Life can change so fast, So going back to the Bryan Starr's example where Bryan thought it'd be a great, swell idea to interview Never Shout Never for a second time. So again, this is what happened. He assumed they were going to be the same goofy, jolly young bucks who would constantly crack jokes every minute. He kept thinking that in his brain. Bryan had the idea of sticking to his quirky questions and not enough about their music. Remember, it's been 2 years, since that very first interview, which was in 2010. And a lot of things can happen to people within that amount of time, like I said. So whether it be going through hardships or any life-changing experiences, a lot of things can happen to people in 2 years. And they're never the same again. This is why, like I said earlier, the vibe and atmosphere of the first and second interview with Never Shout Never felt like night and day. Felt like you're seeing 2 completely different groups being interviewed. So what I think Bryan could have done is talk to Never Shout Never ahead of time, discuss about the show's format. If the band has communication, let me say it again. If the band has communicated firmly that they want to discuss about the new album, Bryan could have used the opportunity to work around that. So for instance, maybe put the goofy questions later near the end of the interview instead of making it be the majority of the interview. So, which leads me to the next point. So we said so far the 2 points for the first 2 points I said for a successful interview I would say are communication and preparation. So now let's go on to point number 3. Patience. Patience is the third one. So I think for the sake of professionalism, remaining patient is key. Now, no matter how the interview is going, one of the things that we should always do is remain calm. Being calm helps you be focused, and it helps you take a moment to think about the answer before you answer the question that's being asked to you. Even if you feel like you can't wait to deliver what you want to say right away, try to guide the conversation in a calm, cool, casual way. As they say, you don't just answer questions, you also use this as an opportunity to speak on the updates you want your audience to hear. You want to deliver your message. Going back to the Bryan Stars and Never Shout Never confrontation, Christopher Drew was pretty impatient when he insisted to Bryan's Stars that he wanted to talk about the band's music. Even though I agree Bryan should have touched base on their music first, Chris did appear, pretty rude when he tells Bryan to ask better questions. But even though I'll say it again, even though I understand where Chris is coming from, and I, rightfully so, to make that point, it does come off pretty rude, especially for those who may not know Never Shout Never. So I understand that Bryan was pretty upset and he got pretty defensive against Chris, which led them to that little argument they've been having, which was, I can't believe they caught that on tape and then they put it on YouTube. But though Chris did make some good points on that the questions Bryan asked the band were complete juvenile, there's a couple of ways Bryan could have handled this too while remaining patient. So, number one, Bryan could have easily apologized and acknowledged Chris's frustrations and head straight to the more serious questions right away. Or the other way Bryan could have handled this too is maybe Bryan could have handled it, again, acknowledge that Chris is frustrated, he's eager, acknowledge that Chris is eager to talk about Never Shout Never's new music. Then he can say something like, I would like to talk about the new album as I know you and I are excited about it, but what I'm hoping to do is get through a few of these questions as a warm-up first before we go further. Does that sound fair? So Bryan could have said that. Bryan Stars could have said that, and he could have handled it that way. But of course, like I said, Christopher Drew did make a good point though. But I think what Christopher Drew maybe could have done is maybe he could be patient with Bryan and understand that Bryan's just doing his job. Maybe Chris could he could do that as well and just understand that too. But anyways, but this leads up to my final important point when it comes to making an interview successful. It's the one thing, respect. That's right. Respect is the final fourth point here. Interviewers and musicians should respect each other's boundaries, both physically and in terms of what subject matter to not bring up during the interview. Hence why it ties well with my point on communication and preparation. So all of those things should be discussed ahead of time. Respected interviews also involve bringing up any issues and concerns with one of the parties privately, rather than during the middle of the interview when they're being recorded or live on the air. So when Christopher Drew was confronting Bryan Stars about how he was not impressed with the questions that were being asked, I personally think those guys could have had this conversation about it privately. There are two ways this could have been handled. So either pause the camera and have Bryan and Chris talk it out before resuming the interview. Or maybe the guys can have a talk about it privately after the interview is over to provide constructive feedback. Of course, there's the other easy option. Just postpone the interview to another time or much later after the show. Something like that. So those are a few options, but they're good options, I think, personally. So in conclusion, I just want to finish off by saying this. I hope the points I brought up and my use of the Bryan Stars Never Shout Never story helped illustrate what both interviewers and us musicians can learn to do well when we have these specific encounters in the near future. I think interviews are a great way. Like, they're a great way for us musicians to chat with journalists about our lives, but both parties should build their segments on the foundation of communication, preparation, patience, and respect. Those points I brought up. While being honest with each other, too. Honesty is really important, guys. So when we exercise those good habits, I think we build more of an excitement for the segment instead of dreading the experience. So whether you're a musician or a journalist, I hope you continue to exercise good judgment, keep getting better at what you do, and build a positive community. That's it. Those are my thoughts on this whole thing. I hope you guys have learned something from this. I really appreciate you guys just tuning in and listening to what I have to say. Even if it may not resonate with you, I just thank you guys so much for just listening. So now, folks, with that all being gone, all done, we're going to now carry on to the next part. Open Q&A. Open discussion for you guys. Oh, there we go. All right. So, I got a few questions that were given to me in advance. And then what I'll do is, I know there's a few of you guys who asked questions on TikTok already, so I'll go through the TikTok comments as well. So I'll definitely get to that. So, here we go. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I got a few questions here. The first two are from my good friend Ashley Cunningham from Salem, Oregon, who is also a musician. Check her out. It's Ashley Sings Snippets on Instagram and on TikTok. Make sure you check it out. So Ashley asks, first of all, hello, Ashley. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for submitting these questions ahead of time. Really appreciate that. So Ashley's asking, where do you see yourself musically in 5 years? Really good question, Ashley. So, after learning so much this year in 2020, I'm seeing myself pushing more towards creating content on my YouTube channel constantly. And on TikTok as well, of course. I'll for sure still play shows around town with, all the bands I'm in, including hosting piano karaoke nights and hosting live band karaoke when that becomes a thing again. I'll still write songs, that's for sure. I'll still write songs, whether it be with my band Cry of Silence or if I'm collaborating with other artists. I see myself teaching music more, which is what I'm doing actually right now. I am a music teacher right now too in Vancouver. And I see myself doing more streaming performances too. Especially here on Twitch and TikTok, where I'm doing my piano live streams to you guys. I always have a great time, guys. Just so you guys know, I love entertaining you guys through that platform as well, doing those piano live streams. You guys are just so amazing. Your responses are so engaging with me, and I really appreciate that so much. And I see myself doing more streaming performances, or even just doing more of that, or even combining live in-person shows while webcasting it across the internet. So say if my band did a show somewhere, I would love to just have my webcam and everything and just webcast it to you guys out in public as well. So I would love for you guys to check that out. So thank you, Ashley, for that question. Ashley asked another question too. She says, what do you think ultimately gave you your love for music? Well, let's see. Well, I've been so interested in music ever since I was listening to music as a kid. So I was listening to the radio, listening to my parents' vinyl collection and cassette tapes. And as I got a little bit older, of course, I got into watching Much Music, which is our Canadian version of MTV. Remember that thing? Remember that was the thing when you can see music videos on regular television? A long time ago, guys. In terms of playing musical instruments, I've always like I've always wanted to be a creator. I always wanted to be a musical creator. Just um, make noise just for fun and all that stuff. And I knew I had a creative mind, but I've always wanted to find that right outlet to unleash my imagination. And I found that music was perfect for that. Okay. Oh yes, I got a few questions already on TikTok, so thank you guys so much for that. Okay. How Jaden from Seattle, Washington, in America has asked, "How did I get my music teaching? How did I get my job recently?" So I'm guessing he's referring to my music teaching job. So how did I get my music teaching gig? Well, it was basically through my drummer from Cry of Silence, whose name is also Ed. Um, I know it's funny. We have two Eds in the band Cry of Silence. Anyways, and also with the help through another good musician friend named Jerome, who's a talented guy as well. We were pre-recording like a music-related segment for a function, and someone saw me playing guitar and telling me that this music school was in need of a guitar teacher. So I gladly accepted and got the job, and the rest is history. And I'm enjoying it so far still, so it's great. But I've been teaching like also within the school and also outside on my own time too. So if you guys ever do need guitar lessons or any music lessons, I can teach piano and voice also. Just let me know. I would love to help you guys out. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the advanced Q&A. So now I'm going to answer what's Poppin' 16 on TikTok is asking, did I go to university for music or did you just do your own thing? Okay, so to answer that question, so pretty much I took private lessons for music actually. So I took piano lessons for years, and I took my exams through what we call the Royal Conservatory of Music in Canada. And yeah, passed all the way to the grade 10 level, and then I just went off and did my own thing. So I learned to play a lot of stuff by ear as well. So even though I'm classically trained, I've managed to learn to do stuff by ear. I've always wanted to do that too. That's the thing. And in public schools though, I did take high school band. So all my high school life, it was all about the high school band, and it was so much fun. I was doing clarinet at that one too, and yeah, I know. I really wish I could have done drums or guitar of that stuff, but it was so much fun. I really, it was just a great time. Other than that, yeah, like the rest was just all my own thing. So open mic nights, right? Like I said, I've been in bands. I've been in bands that that were just so bad to begin with too. After high school, I just still couldn't believe it. But we were all young and stupid. We've all been there at one point. I'm gonna check for what other questions I got. So thank you, what's Poppin' 16 on TikTok for that question. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, I just gotta scroll through my. Shout out to GlizzyGod53 on TikTok for sending me a TikTok donation. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Someone else is asking me how my day is going. It's been all right, honestly. I was looking entirely forward to talking to you guys tonight again. Music Talk Mondays has been such a great, fun thing to do with you, just sitting down and chatting with you. Besides just because I know you guys always see me play something, play an instrument and singing and performing or teaching something online. But I just love the fact that I can just use this day specifically to just sit down with you all and just have a chat about music-related topics. Even if it's like guitar tips, piano tips, singing tips, whatever it may be. I'm so glad I could help you guys out with that too, and just have a chat, get to know you guys too. Let's see. Just going through my TikTok comments here. Let's see. Okay. And Ben is here too. Hello, Ben. Ben is also from Vancouver as well. He's a great musician. He's tuning in on TikTok right now, saying, "Thank you so much, Ben, for being a part of Music Talk Mondays. I really appreciate you popping by. That's really cool for you to stop by here." So yeah, it's open Q&A portion of the night now. So if you guys have any other questions, please let me know, and I would love to answer you guys' questions here. Let's see. I'm just going to see if there's any questions I'm missing on Facebook here. I'm going to go personal Facebook page. Nope. No, I don't see anything on here. That is totally fine. Okay, yes. Oh, yeah. And now, if there's anything that you guys ever want me to talk about, anything you guys want me to express my thoughts on for future episodes on my podcast here on Mondays, please message me. You can DM me on Instagram. You can DM me on TikTok or other platforms to have me on, or on Twitch if you guys have Twitch as well. Feel free to DM me anytime. I would love to. I'm open to whatever topics you want me to express my thoughts on if I have that expertise in that certain topic. And yeah. All right. Just waiting to see who else has a question. Question here. Let's see. All right. Well, okay. Oh yeah, and so I should probably again announce the following again. So if you guys want to check out my website, it's www.EddieLamMusic.ca. That is my website. You can also check them out. And of course, yeah. So and then you can find me on social media platforms as well. I got Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. It's all under EddieLamMusic. And then, of course, it is. I also got Patreon and PayPal. If you go to Patreon, it's EddieLamMusic also. Got some really cool deals on there, like I said. And if you go to PayPal, if you'd like to donate to help support me, I got paypal.me/EddieLamMusic. Now, for those of you who may not know about my TikTok channel specifically, I have lots of guitar tutorials on easy songs that you can learn very fast in just under 1 minute. That's the gimmick about that channel, is you'll find all those on there. And a lot of songs, like I said, a lot of pop songs are just so easy to learn and play. You can just figure, like, once you go through my tutorials, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, this is like, I can't believe like how fast I've learned this. It's easy stuff, guys. Like your mind will be blown away when you find out like how many of these hits are just so easy to learn. So, yeah. So, let's see. Ben is asking if I can play a song. Well, I mean, this is more of a more like a sit down talk kind of thing. So, of course, if you do want to watch me perform, I will be doing my piano live stream again, hopefully sometime this weekend if I get a chance to. That's where you will definitely catch me on my best times for sure. And like I said, for my piano live stream, I can definitely take requests. But if you do want a guaranteed, actually, speaking of piano, someone on TikTok, Nevelyn on TikTok is asking, any easy riffs on piano? Yes, I would say that opening piano melody for Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. So that's one. Another one, too, is I would say the opening melody for Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger. There you go. Oh. Caden on TikTok says, this guy has got to be my favorite TikToker on the platform. Thank you so much, Caden. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you really enjoy all the stuff I've been providing on my TikTok channel since this year. It's been quite a cool change for me to, try to make TikTok more useful somehow. Of course, I don't want to slag everyone else who's using TikTok to do other things like, goofy things, or if they're doing dancing and all that stuff. I'm not going to slag you guys for that. But, for me, I also want to provide something that's also fitting for musicians who want to learn something. I wanted to make it there's something for somebody to go out and actually learn something too. So, and with that whole thing with TikTok being the whole do things like don't forget TikTok's platform. The way it works is that when you create a video, you only have 1 minute for your video. It's only 1 minute, so it's like just like what's that old app Vine back in the day. So TikTok and Vine, the way they operate is that it's like you have 1 minute videos basically. That's it. Whereas you know how YouTube you have like unlimited amount of time. So TikTok is only 1 minute, but I wanted to take advantage of that and be able to do something cool with it basically. So yeah, there you go. Thank you so much, Caden, for enjoying what I'm doing. So I really appreciate all that cool stuff that all your support, and hope you've actually learned something from my tutorial videos as well. So yeah, cool. Let's see. Just trying to check my other TikTok comments on here that I may have missed. Hello, Jimmy. How's it going? Oh, and Kaden responds by saying, it's been great watching the progression of your page, and I've tuned in every week to your lives. Kaden, thank you so much for tuning in every week to my lives. Like I said, it's so cool. Oh, Ben says, love you, bro. Love you too, Ben. Thank you so much, man. You are awesome you, Ben, are amazing for tuning in to my live streams, man. I appreciate that also. But Kaden, yes, thank you so much, Kaden, on TikTok. I really appreciate you enjoying what I'm doing here. Like I said, I wanted to always mix it up by doing piano live streams and then do my podcast here on Mondays to just do a nice talk show for you guys. And, eventually, once I figure out this technology, streaming stuff more, I'm going to see if I can get to the point where I want to get guests on here too and figure out how to do that. Even if I have guests that are not from my hometown, Vancouver, I just want to maybe figure out how I can use say Zoom and then connect that to Twitch and all that. So I got to figure that part out too. So we'll see how it goes. I'll have to experiment one day. So yeah, cool. All right. So, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to type them here in the comments section here on Twitch or on TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, I would love to hear from you guys as well. So whatever questions you have, feel free to ask me. This is the open Q&A. I think this is so much fun to just sit down with you guys and just chat here. Oh yeah, Neville says that it does freeze. Yeah, unfortunately, my internet connection here on the Wi-Fi is actually not always the best. It is what it is. Everybody. I'm guessing because everyone's just on the internet too, right, at this hour. So I think that's why. Luckily for my connection here on my laptop on Twitch, I'm using the Ethernet cable. So if my guess is correct, there's way less interruption. So yes, but thank you guys though on TikTok for putting out with the Wi-Fi connection here. I appreciate you guys. My apologies that this is happening like that, but again, I thank you guys so much for sticking around as much as you can to power through here. Thank you, Neville, for the comments. Jimmy D89 on Jimmy D69 is asking from TikTok is asking, have I ever played in an open G tuning? No, I would love to try that one day. Actually, now if I understand, I think who is it? Keith Richards plays in that tuning, if I recall, or is it Keith Richards or somebody from the Rolling Stones plays in that open G tuning? If you could confirm if that was Keith Richards, please let me know if it is. I heard someone from the Rolling Stones uses open G tuning, but I don't know if it is Keith Richards or somebody from Rolling Stones. Let me know. Oh, Jimmy says Alter Bridge does that. Oh, no way. Okay. I actually had no idea Alter Bridge actually use open G tuning. That's really cool. That is really awesome. Well, thanks for bringing up that tuning. I always want, like I said, I've said it before in my previous podcasts, I think, or interviews. I love the DADGAD tuning, which is DADGAD on the guitar. It's really cool. It's really sick. Oh, Jimmy says, he does on a few songs. Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying, Jimmy. I'm glad you clarified that. Yeah, cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, speaking of Alter Bridge, I just had a conversation with my friends about this. But the funny thing about bands like Alter Bridge is that pretty much it is like Cree but without Scott on vocals. But people have told me I got friends who are huge fans of Alter Bridge. Even one of my neighbors in my apartment building, I think she saw Alter Bridge live. I was like, wow, that's so cool. So that's which I thought was pretty amazing. And speaking of tuning, I've tried different tunings as well besides the DAD tuning on an acoustic guitar, on electric guitar because I was into like heavy stuff too. So I was like I loved listening to bands like System of a Down, Hate Breed, you name it. I tried Drop C many years ago, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. So that's what I did. Oh, thank you, Luke. Luke Mess 91 on TikTok for following me on TikTok now. Thank you so much. I appreciate that for tuning in to my channel. Jimmy on TikTok says deeper Miles is awesome. Awesome, cool, man. And yeah, so I tried Drop C tuning too, and it's really awesome. Yeah. Oh. Orange Johnson Orange Johnson is here on TikTok saying hi. Hello, Orange Johnson. Thanks for tuning in on TikTok to my podcast, Music Talk Mondays. If you have any questions, ask me anything music related, and I will try to answer to the best of my abilities. User 556 on TikTok is asking, have I heard Thunderstruck? Oh yeah, of course. Like AC/DC. I listened to AC/DC for many years since I was a kid because of we have a classic rock radio station here in Vancouver, right? And so I've gone to AC/DC. Thunderstruck is a really fun song, although that opening riff is not easy, obviously. But yeah, and it's just so much fun. It's a lot of but of course to sing Thunderstruck is a different story. Obviously, I would just. I can't hit that higher range. You almost have to be like Mariah Carey to hit that, almost in some ways. Can you imagine Mariah Carey and Bryan Johnson singing together? Oh my, that'd be so funny. User 965 is asking, well, who my favorite artist is. I really enjoy. Obviously, forever it will be Kurt Cobain, no doubt about it, because I love Nirvana. My other favorite bands, of course, I love Blink-182, Metallica, depends which album, obviously. All that heavy stuff, right? Sum 41, Billy Talent, obviously. And then within the 2010s, in the last decade or so, I would say I actually, do enjoy bands like, for instance, oh, sorry, I have too many bands in my archives too. I need to write it down eventually. Yeah, but of course, even for heavier stuff, I'll go back again. So for new metal, I love like Slipknot, Korn. I was a sucker for Limp Bizkit for a while. I enjoyed rap rock too, like Rage Against the Machine. A little bit of Kid Rock. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of Kid Rock as well. But yeah, for other stuff too, I was into like was it like I got into All Time Low a little bit, but I also enjoyed Sleeping with Sirens. I've also enjoyed Braving the Horizon. Like these guys are like my favorite metal heavy group too, within the last decade too. Really great stuff. And what else is there? Of course, even last year when I saw Sleeping with Sirens live, the opening act was Poppy. So I got into Poppy, and I also discovered her history as well, including like her now ex-boyfriend's stuff, like Mars Argo, which is an artist that he collaborated with, that he, I think he kind of ran the band also in some ways, and then into Titanic Sinclair's solo stuff too. So I got into that world, pretty deeply within like the last year or so. So there's that. Oh yeah, actually going back to stuff from the grunge era as well, I enjoyed Alice in Chains. They're one of my favorite bands as well. Love Lane Staley, of course, rest in peace. Jerry Cantrell is a fantastic songwriter for that band. Linkin Park, obviously, too. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, I think is one of my favorite vocalists in that era. Classic rock, of course, the Guess Who, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, obviously. the Beatles, Beach Boys, yeah, all that good stuff. So basically, like my library is pretty huge of who I really enjoy. But yeah, but if I ever to collaborate on certain artists, I would love to collaborate with Jerry Cantrell. That's for sure. Would like to collaborate with Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens too. Would love to do that. Would love to collaborate with maybe Vic Fuentes from Pierce the Veil. I could. It would be fun. It would be fun. I would also like to collaborate with Dave Grohl as well. That I think it would be so much fun to just make music with him also. But if I could say play piano for Metallica, I'll do it in a heartbeat. I would. Yeah. Let's see who else. What's movie? Okay, so when I was really into punk a long time ago too, I was into Pennywise. That's another one of my favorite punk bands. Certain albums though for sure. Straight Ahead's a great album. Land of the Free is a great album as well. With the song Authority, which I did a little bit on my piano live stream last week. Fun times. So there's that. Yeah. All right. I may have missed a question, so let me just go back. Oh yeah, user 556 listens to Disturbed. I love Disturbed too. I should have mentioned those guys. Yes. See, this is the thing. When you have so much data in your brain, you tend to lose that memory a little bit because it's almost like you almost know a bit too much stuff from the top of your head. So it's hard to drop names on the top of your head. But this is what happens when you have too much of a library of musical knowledge and stuff. Or just musical interest basically. That's what happens. Yeah. Well, okay. So I see Mariana's Trench live too, who are from Vancouver too, by the way. But I've seen Mariana's Trench live probably about 3 or 4 times too, and yeah, they're quite fun live as well. So yeah, that's another band I would say that I enjoyed throughout that since the 2010s. I got into them around that time. Let's see. Let's try to look at through the TikTok questions here. Oh, Jimmy69 D69 is asking about Sea Fox. Yeah, I did used to listen to Sea Fox a lot back in the day, honestly, and other rock stations too. But I just lost interest in it just because, not to, I hate to slag a radio station out in public like this, but I'm just gonna say it straight up, guys. I'm just the musical choices are just not my cup of tea. They're not my cup of tea anymore, basically. Yeah. So these, yeah, it's like our local radio station here in Vancouver called Sea Fox. I used to listen to those guys a lot religiously back in the day, but like I said, the playlist is something is no longer my cup of tea personally. Like I said, I'm the kind of guy that wants to check out some things that are, more fresh and heavier, basically, right? And unfortunately, that station, my hometown, Sea Fox, they don't play those bands that I mentioned. They don't play Sleeping with Sirens. They don't play Panic. They don't play Panic at the Disco. They don't play Fall Out Boy. Well, they barely play Fall Out Boy, I think. But and they don't have they don't play Bring Me to Horizon. They don't even play Slipknot's new stuff. I don't even remember if they still play Slipknot anymore, even, because I think it might be a bit too heavy for them. Who knows, right? But for me, I just want some something that can play all this heavy stuff. So I discovered some different radio stations from different parts of the world too, and even university radio stations are so good that way. They can play they can play some heavy stuff, and I'm always impressed and blown away by the selections that those college radio stations have. Hunter Ray 29 is asking, when will I play guitar on a live stream? Well, I could do it on my piano during my piano live stream as well. What I could do? I could even just rename instead of calling it the Piano Lounge, I'll just call it the virtual music lounge. So at least that way I'll have a bit more variety. So maybe I'll consider that. I'll think about that, and we'll see what the others say about that as well. What do you guys think? Should I do guitar and piano on my live streams as well instead of just sticking to just piano? Let me know. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on that. Because I can make that happen for sure, but I just need your guys' opinion down the road to see if you prefer just piano or do you want piano and guitar live. let me know. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. And that could open up a can of worms for sure, where I can do the songs, do some other songs that could definitely add more variety to my live stream performances. So yeah, I would love to consider that for sure. Let me think about it, and like I said, let me ask my followers here too. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know. Just digging through the other TikTok comments. Yes. User 556 asking I also teach too. Yes, I am. Yes, I am working as a music teacher also. I work at a local music school in Vancouver, and I also do teach a few students on my own time as well outside the music school that I'm teaching at. So, yeah, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Honestly, when I'm just being able to pass on skills to a new generation, right? And just and the fun part, the cool part is when you watch your students grow and progressively get better too, as long as they practice, obviously, as long as they practice. But yes, I really do enjoy teaching so far, and it's been great. And even we can't always meet every student in person. Even for me being able to teach over Zoom, for example, it's been very helpful. I've had a great time doing that, and it's convenient. It's really convenient too. And actually, my setup is that I actually use, when I do my Zoom sessions, for example, I actually use my interface and plug in this studio microphone to it hook it up through my computer, and and then that's how I teach, and then that way people can hear me more clearly. So yeah. Hunter's asking, what's the best way to come up with a set list? I want to start gigs. Okay, so Hunter, to answer your question, as someone who's been playing cover bands and just bands in general for a long time, here's a couple of things I will say. First of all, if you're playing in a cover band, for example, that you want to make sure the songs flow nicely. Flow is really important, especially if you're in a cover band. If you're going to be playing in front of an audience and you want them to dance, it's important that you do start off with, you want them to be consistently upbeat and everything like that, right? Because you want people to come to your shows, and the thing is, people do want to dance. Like, there are people who do want to dance, but it's all up to you guys to make sure you pump up some really good, awesome, upbeat music, if that's the case. Oh, okay. If you're doing solos, Hunter's pointed out saying that he's doing solo stuff. Okay, so if you're doing just solo stuff, Hunter, then yeah, just start off with, okay, here's what I would say too. So vocally speaking, don't start off with like something that's just like, very like, like something with high notes basically. So if I were you, Hunter, I would say start with something that is like, that's within your range. Something nice, something nice and mellow, and that way you're not killing your voice, because you want to save the more powerful songs near the end, and that way you can belt out those high notes, because by that time you're already warmed up, and then after that, then you're good to go, and then you get to sing all those much more cool advanced songs where you can hit those high notes. So that's my advice to you. So build it up, basically. Like, you're climbing a mountain, basically, right? That's what it is. Climbing that mountain, and then you hit the top, which is the climax, and then you can start hitting those really cool high note songs, and then you'll do great because of that. So Hunter, hopefully that helps you. Good luck, man. I know we can't do shows right now for obvious reasons, but we hope that when you do shows again, that you can come up with a solid set list. I believe in you. I know you will do well. So hopefully that advice has helped you, Hunter. Yeah. So there you go, guys. No problem, Hunter. Anytime. Hunter says thank you. Gave me a big thanks. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you so much. Again, guys, I just wanted to say, if you guys do enjoy the streams that I do, if you guys enjoy the content I've been doing overall on all my social media platforms, you can donate to me on PayPal. PayPal.me/EddieLamMusic. You can go to my Patreon also. It's patreon.com/EddieLamMusic. So you can donate to me in any of those platforms anyway if you want to. So yeah. All right, guys. So I guess this pretty much wraps up my podcast for today. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening to my topic of today. And if you want to rewatch this podcast, you can watch my replay on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/EddieLamMusic. So go on Twitch, look up EddieLamMusic, same username as my TikTok. Just go on there and just rewatch this whole podcast. I hope the quality turns out pretty good too. I hope so. Let's hope it does. So thank you guys so much for tuning into my podcast. Thanks for your donations on TikTok as well. You guys are amazing people. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you. Yes. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys tuning into my podcast. Again, EddieLamMusic.ca is my website. It's I also got Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I got Patreon, PayPal, paypal.me/EddieLamMusic to donate however much you want. I'm just glad you guys are here. Thanks for listening. If you guys are musicians, please keep striking those chords, keep practicing, and you will do better. And I believe in you guys. You guys will do amazing. To all you people who are not musicians but are great supporters, thank you so much for your ongoing support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just enjoying what we all do, what we love to do. And please keep supporting us no matter what, because us musicians are nothing without you guys, without you, the audience, with you, the followers. You guys are just amazing people that way. So with all that being said, please stay safe, stay in touch, and stay awesome. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.